Hi, guys. Let me get this microphone in front of me. I'm so worried about the lights. Hi, everyone. How are y'all today? What's going on this beautiful Saturday? It's a beautiful day here in the A. I'm in Atlanta. Where are you guys at? Let me know in the chat. Where are you watching from? Hey, Itchy. Hey, the Genius CEO. What's up, Panelverse? What's up, Mo Johnson? Hey. Today's topic on Power and Pedals Saturday is school boards and why they are a battlefield. Okay, how many of y'all have children? He says, "Hey, I'm in the MD." That's Maryland. Am I right? DFW. Okay. Florida in the building. Yes, Highway 20 Skinny. It's good to see you. I saw you over in Illa's chat earlier today. It's good to see you. And the Genius, I saw you over there with Fatty and watching Mr. Fantastic and that other guy, that weirdo. I won't dare mention his name over here. Oh my goodness. Um, but you see the topic today. I think it would be interesting to talk about schools and kind of give American politics a rest, being that we're just now, I guess, going to war with Iran. So I kind of saw that coming and just wanted to pivot from American politics for a minute, since I know it can be tricky. A lot of people have children that are in the service, if not in the service themselves. So everybody's on pins and needles, expecting to get their marching orders, and will probably be there in Iran pretty soon. So I pray for anybody that has children in the military or are in the military themselves. Right now is a very stressful time for all of you. So today we're not going to talk about American politics in that sense. We're going to talk about schools. Okay. So, yeah, Trump caught a body this morning. Another one was somebody else trying to get on the Mar-a-Lago. Um, I know that it was last week that someone was just pow-powed out there in front of Mar-a-Lago in Florida. Um, hey, Migati, or Migati, I think that's your name. He says, "Hey, I just found your channel." Hey. Mo says schools today are way easier to me. They seem to focus on feelings more than teachings. Exactly. But we're going to get into that. Okay. So, welcome back to Smell the Roses, where we pause, look closer, and talk about what's really shaping our lives. Today's episode is not so much about power, not in Congress, not in the White House, but in the room that's literally down the street from your house. Okay. Um, at your local school board meeting. And why have school boards become battlefields? And why are parents, activists, and politicians, and basically national media suddenly just obsessed with them? And that's what we're going to talk about today, right? So, what do school boards do? Okay, school boards literally decide the curriculum, the book policies, which I have some really great clips to show today about some of the god awful books that they're putting in our children's school. I have a 10th grader, so my son is in high school. So this is something that is, very controversial in my house because he's an avid reader. We get most of our books from the public library. He doesn't hang out so much in the school library, but it still matters to me, what their book policies are. The school board also decides the superintendent. Okay. The budget priorities, the health policies, and the basic overall discipline standards, okay, for the school district. And that's not small, Okay, that literally determines the culture, the values, and basically sets the tone for, your kids' generation. Not so much your generation, but your kids' generation. All of the peers that he's in school with next to him. This is literally shaping their lives. Okay. And here's the key points that I want us all to kind of like be focusing on. Okay. School boards are, remember, we were talking about last week, your local voting laws and your local voting ballots and the booths that you go in to vote locally. Well, school boards are hyper local. Okay, so they affect you even more. They affect everything, your property taxes, even if you don't have kids in school, okay? And they require fewer votes to win. And that makes them easier to influence and easier to flip. So if you get a bad deal, you can it's easier to reverse it. Okay. Um, and basically, when we're so worried about like the war that we're about to get into and national freaking politics, when you can't win nationally, these people, some of them are weird. They're like, I'll never be a congressman. I'll never be the president, but I can be your local school board, your local school board superintendent. Okay. And if people have nefarious ideologies, they will impact your kid's school. And we don't need that. Okay. So I want to kind of see what's going on in the chat. Good afternoon, ladies and gents. Hey, JW. Hey, CDT Beats. What's up? It's good to see you. I haven't seen you in a long time, my friend. I'm going to be reaching out to you very soon. You and the Genius CEO. He says, hi, my name is Henry. What is your name? My name is Raquel, or you can call me Smell the Roses. Okay. And what's up, Cases and Cams? Thank you so much for helping me out with the vertical. It seems like we have a pretty good crowd today. I don't see any craziness. That might be because you guys are keeping the craziness away. But if you could, please remember to hit the like button. Likes are free. Okay. Consider becoming a subscriber to my channel, or if you're a subscriber, consider becoming a member. I'm really close to my St. Patty's Day goal of 3,000 subscribers. I think I'm 200. I'm about 200 subscribers away from 3,000 subscribers, and my goal for members, I think I'm at 93. It would be great if I could reach 150 memberships, but that is a big goal. I should probably stretch that out to maybe like May or June, but a girl can try. Okay. But let me pull up this first video here. This one is going to make y'all laugh so hard. Okay. This one is absolutely this is crazy. I don't know if you guys have ever been to a school board meeting, but they're pretty lively. Okay. Parents get really upset. And if you think that panels on YouTube are crazy, it's talking about, excuse me. If you think that panels on YouTube are crazy, when we get to arguing and fighting with each other, what I'm about to show you now is going to you're going to be like, what? What is going on with them? Okay, so let me cue this video up. Yeah, it's called Savage, the most savage school board speaker you will ever encounter. Okay. And this man was not playing games. Okay. He was not playing games with these people. And I thought, why not start with this to kind of break the ice and get us going today? Oh, my screen split. I don't know why. All right, here we go.
It doesn't work like that. I represent every all
Watch this, y'all.
Evening, cowards.
Rick Hubbard, 97 Spruce Lane. Nice to see you.
Hold on. Did y'all hear that?
Work like that. I represent all citizens in New York.
Good evening, cowards. Rick Hubbard, 97 Spruce Lane. Nice to see you. A bunch of fat, ugly women.
Oh,
What?
excuse you.
What?
Can we stay on the agenda?
No,
I'm
No.
speaking.
No.
They're fat, ugly women is what they are.
we're not having that.
Let's talk about it.
We're not having that.
You don't have to buy.
That ain't free
It's
speech.
called free speech. Buy.
That's not free speech, that's insulting.
Buy. That's good. Shut up.
No.
Okay, everybody, stop. Let Mr. Hubbard speak, please. Enough. Go ahead, Rick.
And we wonder why children are retarded stupid today. We wonder why. We wonder why when we have these pathetic people here called teachers rape the children's mind. And if you people are too stupid to know what rape is, it's called control, you morons.
Are you speaking directly to the book?
Yes, I
Because
am.
Okay,
It reflects off
on the
that
book.
wall there and comes back into your ears. Imagine
Just
that.
on the book, please, because that's what Citizens Forum is
I'm
about.
talking about the book.
Okay,
I'm talking about the stupidity of the people who want the book in the high school. That's what I'm talking about. The retards that we have in our community.
I don't know
The
that we need to
abject
allow
retards.
this kind of
Yeah,
abusive
this-
speech. I'm not aware of what the process is,
Please,
but I
go ahead
I
and
think we have a
violate my
right to
constitutional
stop
rights.
this
I
kind of
dare you.
abuse.
well,
That's not very
Dare
nice.
you.
Say
Violate
something.
my constitutional rights. Go ahead.
Mr. Hubbard, would you
Say
please
something.
say something specific about the book so that we can let you continue speaking rather than making these generalities?
Can I get there?
Fast, really fast.
No, there's no fast. You
I'm
don't tell
saying
me how to
fast.
speak.
Excuse me?
You don't tell me how to speak.
Well, yeah,
be
I am
quiet and
telling
give me
you,
my
I'm
5
telling you
minutes.
how to speak in this situation.
Shut up and give me my
Point of
5
order.
minutes.
I'd like to propose a recess.
Sit down, please.
I'd like to propose a
5
recess.
No, don't interrupt me. This is my constitutional
Dr. Meaver,
right to
point of
speak,
order.
and
I'd
you
like to
ugly
propose a
people don't
recess.
like
This
it.
is unacceptable.
Huh,
So before, do y'all see how many women are on the board? And do you see the couple of men that are there? They haven't said a word to him. They haven't said a word. All right. But the women, they can't be quiet to just let him get his piece out to move on to the next person. Right. They know that he has time to talk. If you don't know what the rules are before you conduct a hearing like this, where you're inviting the public, then you should be quiet. Just because you hear something that your ears doesn't like, it doesn't mean he doesn't have the right to say them. Now, there is free speech. People, we do have free speech, but your speech does not allow you to incite a riot. Okay, you can't just say any old thing. But this is an older man. He's incensed or pissed off about a book that they've allowed into the school library. So he's very passionate about this. This man is old enough to basically be most of on the board's grandfather. Okay, you see the only woman that seems to be in his peer group is trying her hardest to let him get what he wants to say out. But the men up there, they haven't said a word. Okay, they haven't said a word, literally. Okay.
Imagine
I
that.
propose a recess.
Oh, cowards.
Okay. Do I have a motion to recess?
I move to recess.
Bye,
All in favor
girls.
of recessing? Yeah, maybe sit down and take a breath.
No, I have.
Do you see that the men did not vote to recess? The men are sitting there and they haven't moved. They haven't asked him to be quiet. They haven't moved to recess. You can tell that they are not in alignment with the women that are on the board. Okay. And usually with boards, you have to vote. And the people with the largest number of votes typically win the discussion or whatever is debating or being debated. Okay. So these men on the board, they probably feel exactly the way this man feels. They probably feel sick of these women. Okay. They probably paid him a little bit of cash to get up here and spout this rhetoric that he's about to spew. Yeah, he's older and he just don't care. Like he's lived his life and he's like, you know, I double dog dare you, you know? Yeah. Yeah, shut up, you silly woman. Exactly, CEO. Exactly.
Are the
Okay,
right
then
to
you can
speak to
continue
You
speaking,
people
but
are
we're
stupid.
recessing. So that- Rick, you got 2 minutes left.
2 minutes and
Your time.
Oh,
51,
you sure?
2 minutes and 51 seconds.
2
I'm
minutes and
keeping
50.
time.
That's almost 3 minutes.
That-
Okay, so you got,
Hold on a second now. Is that through the interruptions from these clowns here? Does that include that, or are you going to give me back
you
that
know what,
time?
keeping the
let's
time.
give him a full 3 minutes.
Ooh, wow, 7 seconds?
I
Time's
think that was
ticking.
9.
Okay, thank you.
You're
Is it
welcome.
starting?
Ready?
Go for it.
Is it starting? Okay.
Yes.
So I was going on that I don't believe you clowns are helping the citizens of the city of Dover. See, what happens is, and I've been looking at this for quite a while now, and it's so ugly and true. It's really gross. See, what happens is teachers teach children, okay? And then those children grow up and they have brains. And then adults with brains, I'm getting there. You calm down now. Calm down.
I'm calm. I'm just trying to get you to
Don't
the
interrupt
point.
me. You're interrupting me again.
Sorry.
Thank you. Now give me 15 seconds.
No.
Oh, good.
Whatever. Keep going.
Okay. So these children grow up and become adults. And now they're just as stupid as they were taught, right? Or just as smart as they were taught. And so what happens is we all become dumber and dumber and dumber. And we don't even have the brains right now in our society to see that this book is not worthy to be where it is. I've heard a lot of people talk about sexual assault, but I haven't heard anybody say that they were. Maybe you did. No, I can't remember.
Are you kidding me right now?
Take it easy.
But anyway, there's a difference between people talking about it and people who have been through it. Okay? So when you go through it, you know what the difference is and where up is up and down is down and left is left and right is right and wrong is wrong. And you people are dumb people. You're not smart enough to know that you should take this book out and potentially put it in the regular library.
And you're the pinnacle of intelligence.
You have 1 minute.
Shell,
I love stupid people. They're so. So anyway, that's why we have a bunch of morons in front of us today, because they grew up being taught by stupid people and communist people and indoctrinating people. That's why you people don't have the brains to see that this could be hurting children of the future who are going to grow up and be just as dumb as you people. Probably
you.
dumber.
Thank you.
Do I have any more time left?
You have 21 seconds.
So there's nothing that's going to change here. You communists are going to do what you do, and the public is just going to pay the price. That's all. And at some point, the tide's going to change, and then you people are going to be extinguished. That's all.
Oh my God. Okay. So as we can see here that children basically trigger emotion. Okay. This older gentleman, he probably, he's clearly been educated in the States in America, and he's drawing on his experience, when he grew up and these books were probably never, books about RAPE weren't in the school library, and he's a man, he's a YT man. He probably feels threatened by this book and feels like because the school board is predominantly women, they condone these kinds of books being in the school. And he doesn't want, young men that look like him to be affected by the politics of these books. And I agree, right? So I wanted to say that children trigger emotion, and nothing activates people faster than the belief that their child or grandchild is at risk. And so that's why he kept like saying, you know, these kids are being taught by these teachers. The teachers are going to be the ones recommending the book. And then the children get indoctrinated and become even stupider than we were when we graduated high school back in whatever days, right? And in this case, identity politics also lives in the classroom. Right now, we know that there's a shortage on male teachers, whether they're white males or black males. There's a shortage. So we have these books that are, you know, feminist leaning, you know, being voted on by feminists run school boards, and then little boys, whether they're black or white, are getting left behind, or they're not being considered, you know. And we need to understand that these books affect the way that they look at themselves. And so if everybody is telling young boys, and I have a son, if everybody is telling young boys that they are to blame for GRAPE, for, you know, gender equality, for, you know, all of these things that live in these feminists' mind, then that is going to affect the way they see themselves, and they might not be as confident as we would like for them to be. When you're in school, you're very much, you know, your mind is still stretching and growing and learning. And if you keep getting these weird messages that make you look down on yourself, then you might not have the confidence that you need to get into college or to become a vivacious living adult, you know? So race, gender, history, religion, schools are where these conversations land first. And if you feel like you're always getting attacked, you know, that's a raw deal. So I really, you know, I don't think that he's going about it the right, most effective way, but I can identify with his passion. You know, I can identify with him feeling, you know, he called them retards. He called them fat. You know, I can see where some of these things are very off-putting, but at the same time, it's like, maybe it's a little warranted, right? We don't know exactly what the book was. I didn't get that far because I was at the hair salon, and they do a lot of talking at the hair salon. I couldn't get a word in edgewise on my phone when I was Googling articles for us to read. And I am going to pull up an article for us to read here in just a second. But this is, you know, you see how most of the parents are sitting there, they're angry. You know, your power comes into going to these hearings and meeting with these school boards and letting them know, we don't like the way you guys are handling the school buses and the transportation. We don't like the way that you guys are picking the books to go into the school library. We don't like the school curriculum. You know, some people were saying that some schools are too woke, or they're trying to snatch out, you know, certain Black history from the school textbooks so that, you know, children won't become too woke. And that's messed up, right? So the school boards, they have a lot of strategic power, right? If you shape the curriculum, you shape how history is going to be remembered. And if you shape policy, you shape what is actually normalized. So this book about GRAPE that he's talking about, he's worried about how young men are going to be affected by that book. And I agree with him, right? So to control the narrative early, you have to influence the future voter. And that future voter are those young girls that are going to be, that book is going to be like one of the things that they constantly think about, and it's going to affect the way they vote. Or those young men that read that book and internalize, you know, that it's their fault, that will affect whether they vote or not. You know, maybe they feel like, oh, everything is my fault, my vote doesn't matter. And I feel like this gentleman is trying to stick up for them, right? And so there's an article I want to show you. Let me stop moving and share this. So I have a friend that has a child with special needs, and she's always looking for schools, or always really worried about what's going on in school, and who's the new superintendent for her school. stuff like that, because depending on who that person is, that's going to affect the way that her child is able to be a part or not be a part of a classroom. Okay. And usually when there are special needs children, they like to kind of put them away from the normal students. They'll say because they require certain care or more thoughtful care, but sometimes it's not that at all. Sometimes they just don't want the hassle of having to deal with a special needs kid in the classroom, or like how to maneuver them from the classroom to the lunchroom. You know, in high school, there's a lot of class changes. My kid goes to like 7 classes, you know, so after every 45 minutes, he's switching class. If you had a special needs person in your class that was maybe disabled and couldn't walk, they would need somebody to help them get from each classroom. And I understand that teachers don't get paid a lot, but you would think that with all of this money going around, that they would allot money towards, you know, making sure that these children have a fair and equitable experience when they're in the classroom. Okay. So this article here is called "The Investigation Finds Shocking Overuse of Seclusion and Restraint in the District." This like really broke my heart. Okay. So a Missouri school district focused on special education restrains and secludes its students excessively and inappropriately in gross violation of the Americans with Disabilities Act, a U.S. Department of Justice investigation found. Okay. So the DOJ, you know, while everybody is worried about ICE, nobody is worried about the children that they have in these classrooms that are getting grossly secluded from everyone. Okay. The use of restraint and seclusion in schools operated by the Special School District of St. Louis County came in violation of district policy and state law, which allows for the practices only in the event of imminent danger or physical harm. The agency said in a letter to the district Monday, the district must fundamentally change its practices to avoid legal action, the letter says. During the investigation period, the district treated seclusion and restraint not as crisis responses, but to be used in rare emergencies, but as a routine response to student behavior, it says. So instead of restricting the children that might have been violent towards other students, they just blanketly secluded all of the children, even the ones that probably weren't a threat or a risk to other students. Okay. And so it goes on to say here, schools operated by the Special School District of St. Louis County, which collectively enrolled about 3,500 students with disabilities, secluded more than 300 students almost 4,000 times during the 22-23 and 23-24 school years, the DOJ found. Schools restrained 150 students 777 times in that time period. One school with fewer than 100 students used seclusion 1,667 times, investigations found. So you have a very small school with most of your students without special needs. But for the little bit of students in that school that had special needs, they restrained them from being with the regular students 16 or basically 1,700 times. You guys, these kids can't, it's not their fault that they're special needs. And if we're supposed to enroll our children in school, if that's the mandate, if we'll all go to jail because we don't put our kids in school, then what's the point in having them there if they're going to be ostracized by the other students? Think about how these kids feel. They already know that they're different from other students. And now you're just going to just restrain them and keep them away from everybody else. That's not right. I mean, I think that's really messed up. It says that the district also partners with 22 traditional school districts to provide special education services, but the investigation focused on its own schools. The findings come after years of debate over the controversial discipline practices, which are largely governed by state law. You see how these laws affect you, even though you're not voting on them. So you might have a grandchild with special needs, and maybe they're not disabled, but maybe they have Asperger's. Maybe they have ADHD. Maybe they have, something else going on. This could very well be your grandchild, your niece, your nephew. Or if you decide to have a baby, depending on how young you are, this could be your child. The U.S. Department of Education defines restraint as the use of physical or mechanical restrictions that immobilize a student or reduce their movement. Seclusion occurs when a student is involuntarily confined to a room or area and physically prevented from leaving. So imagine you drop your kid off at school, you tell them to have a good day, and as soon as they get in that MFer, they're put in a room and they're not allowed to leave. Or maybe they're put in a box. Maybe a classroom has 15 or 16 different boxes in there, and they just put your kid in there. Like, that's weird. That's so weird. I would be so mad. My friend's daughter is in she's in one of those mobile chairs where she's kind of like laid back. And the only thing that she can basically move are her hands. So she can control the way her chair moves, and she can speak a little bit. She has like a speaker box for herself because her trachea was very damaged with all of the surgeries that she had. But imagine if somebody sticks like a broom in her chair, a broom handle, and prevents her from leaving to, or it's like, what are we doing here? The school is getting money for these special needs children, but they're not allocating the money properly. They're restraining the students from being involved with the other students. That is just so messed up to me. And the school board is probably encouraging these schools to do that. The agency has repeatedly advised schools to limit the practices, using them only as a last resort to prevent physical harm. Restraint and seclusion practices that can be abused and misused come with risk to students' mental and physical health and educational development, and they are often ineffective in changing students' behavior in the longer term, according to the Education Department guidance. It says the Justice Department opened the investigation into Special School District of St. Louis County in May of 2024. Interviewing administrators and analyzing data, individualized education programs, and student behavior plans. Investigators found the district-run schools used restraint and seclusion in response to noncompliance with school rules, verbal conduct, and other behaviors that cannot lead to any safety threat. So basically, the kids aren't really being threatening. Maybe they have Tourette's. Maybe they have ADHD where they're too nervous to sit down. So when the teacher is like, you need to sit down, you need to stop, they're like, no, they're talking back, but they're not being threatening to anybody. And then they give us an example. In one incident, a second grade student was secluded for 1.5 hours for knocking over the teacher's coffee. The investigation said in another, a seclusion was used because a second grade student refused to go into music class. Another student was secluded for 3.5 hours for drawing on her chair, cursing, and being disrespectful. Schools also routinely secluded students who were engaging in self-harm, putting them at further risk, investigators found. Yeah, so I had a friend, a neighbor, his name was David. Everybody called him Roscoe. When he would get anxious or nervous, he would like bang his head, you know, and it was like he didn't know how to find the words to express why he was upset. So I would be like, David or Roscoe, like, what's wrong? You got to stop hitting your head, buddy. Like, tell me what happened. Was somebody mean to you? Are you hungry? Like, I would ask him questions, and the more I would talk to him, the slower the banging would be. Right? So imagine if you leave somebody like him alone to just be bottled up with his feelings, he's going to bang his head until he passes out, you know? So that is just so mean to do that to somebody that is going through something they can't even explain or can't help. That's why I picked this article to read, because it's like for these other instances, like knocking over a coffee, a second grader. Do you know how many times my son has knocked over my coffee? And I was more worried that he was going to get burned than the fact that the coffee spilled. But these people are just so weird. Like, sorry, I'm not looking at the chat, y'all. What's up, Sandra? Hey, Jay Tillman. It's good to see y'all. But yeah. No, we don't need more violence. But this is why we have to be, because I don't know if you guys can see the chat, but if you can't, I have the comment highlighted from Jay Tillman, and he's saying, time for dad to pop up and show ninjas. Yeah. My friend, she has the luxury to work from home still, and she goes to the school a lot. She does not trust any school with her daughter because her daughter is not walking, is not mobile. She has a colostomy bag that she has to wear. And there has been plenty of times and very horrible stories that she's told me where, you know, they haven't changed her the way that they were supposed to. You know, and this is even at schools where she's paid like top dollar for her kid. Can you imagine that they keep her in her, you know, her sewage all day, and they only change her before you come to pick her up? Like, y'all got to be careful. Like, these schools are wildin'. Yeah, I'm trying to give NYC a break, the genius, but NYC has some wicked things going on. They really do. Yeah, so that's the other thing. It's not very easy to sue schools. It's not very easy unless it's like a private school, but if it's through the state, like something really gross has to happen, and you have to be able to prove it that it's happened over time, over and over and over again. You have to have witnesses. It's very difficult. Like she's tried to do that, and it just, you can't, I forget what law it is, but it's very hard for you to sue American schools. And if you hear screaming in the background, my son is playing video games with his friends upstairs. So no one's getting tortured. They're just playing video games. Okay. Okay, so now let's go into another example. In one incident, now this is a fourth grader. A fourth grade student was secluded for 2 hours and 15 minutes, during which time he was biting his hands and wrist, saying that he wants to kill himself. Oh my goodness. and banging his head on his knee, investigators found. During another nearly 2-hour-long seclusion, a 5th grade student tied her shoelaces around her neck to the point that the staff had to cut them from her neck. That is just so sad. Why would you leave children like this alone? I know it's hard, and I know, like, there's been plenty of times where my kid was acting out and I just had to, like, close the door and cry for a minute. I might have had, like, 5 minutes of just like, "Oh my God, like, he's being so bad. You know, I can't wait for his dad to get here." And I'm crying out of frustration, 1, because I can't get him to calm down, or 2, I don't want to hurt him myself, but I'm feeling myself lose control, so I cry. But if I'm feeling like that as like a 28-year-old adult at the time, imagine what these kids feel like when they don't have the tools or the empathy or sympathy from the teachers that are supposed to be there to take care of them throughout the day. That's so sad for a young lady to take her shoelaces off. She's a 5th grader, and tie them around her neck to the point where it had to be cut off. Let me come to the school and see that around my kid's neck. How did he get to tie his shoelaces around his neck and have that deep of a rash or a scar or a bruise without somebody stopping him? That is just messed up. To genius. He said, ice cream. Listen, you'd be surprised at how many times I could get my neighbor to calm down with those. Remember those icy pops? You buy them in the bag and you put them in the freezer, and they turn into little ices. You know, I'd be like, "David, what color icy do you want?" It did the trick so well that I had to tell one of the teachers at school, Coach Goodwin. Coach Goodwin was like all of our mentors, and he used to take really good care of David. He would give him jobs to do at school, so he felt important. And so one time David was just being very bad and he wasn't listening to anybody, so they came and got me out of class to get him under control. And when I left Coach Goodwin's class, who's now Dr. Goodwin, I told him, "You need to get some freeze pops or ices," because those are his favorite. He'll do anything for an icy. And oh my God, everybody at school, lots of teachers ended up with ices because that was the trick to get David to calm down, you know? But I do think that food could be used as a tool. Yeah. So if it's not ice cream, maybe it's a push pop or, you know, something like that. And you're right. You're right, Vic. You're right. They still slap to this day. I really like the blue, not the blue one. I see you like the blue one. I like the purple ones. The purple ones or the reds. Yeah, the blue is good too. Hey, y'all. Hey, Ryan. It's good to see y'all. We're talking about school boards today. I'm trying to move away from all of the salacious YouTube drama and be focused on something more serious today. But let me get this out of here. Okay, so the Justice Department also identified 400 instances of supplying restraints during which a student is pinned face up on the ground with the two wait a minute. During which a student is pinned face up on the ground in a 2-year period covered by the investigation. So 400 incidents where a student was pinned face up on the ground. That position is more dangerous than other forms of restraints, investigators said. What? A spokesperson for the district said officials reviewed the full report alongside lawyers on Monday. Students' safety and well-being continue to remain a top priority, says the superintendent, whatever Macklin wrote in a letter. Yeah, we don't care about your letter. We take these concerns seriously and are committed to ensuring our practices support student safety, learning, and dignity. Really? Really? All these times? So it was 400 incidents of children being restrained face up. It was a fourth grader secluded for 2 hours and 15 minutes where he was biting his wrist, saying that he wanted to off himself. Another student was secluded for 2 hours and had tied shoelaces around her neck. Like, if the DOJ can see this in an investigation, why can't you? Like, because I know how many special needs students are in my county and are at whatever schools, I would probably put more pressure on those schools to send me reports, to go and do walk-ins. Like, hey, let me see your special needs classes. What's going on up in here today? Just so I don't get named in any kind of news article like this for being grossly inappropriate. What does the article say? The article says investigation finds shocking overuse of seclusion and restraint in this district. I would not want to be the superintendent, over this district at the time that this article was coming out. And as someone that works very closely with leadership at the White House, nobody wants their name on an article like this. This is horrible. This is the worst kind of PR. That your name, this person's name in this article, this Macklin person, like, they're never going to escape this. This Michael Macklin, he's never going to escape this. Every time he goes to get a job somewhere, his LinkedIn, everything is going to circle back to this article. And they're going to say, this happened on your watch. How did you let this happen on your watch, bro? The district serves students with significant and complex needs, the letter says. Our staff use a range of proactive behavior supports, de-escalation strategies, and individualized interventions to help support students. Yeah, right. Okay. So, like, you guys, we have to think about this when we have children. Just because you might not have a special needs kid, your kid could grow up, get married, and have a special needs child. And you need to know, like, what their rights are and how they're supposed to be supported in their public school system, because many of us can't afford to put them in these specialized schools that are supposed to be, very, helpful to the situation, that help make them feel more included versus secluded, and that go above and beyond to make sure that they're getting taught, but also that there's empathy behind the teaching, right? Like, we just have to. It's absolutely silly. But violations of disability rights laws in schools, including the ADA and the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, are investigated by the Education Department Office of Civil Rights or by civil rights officials at the Justice Department. It's unusual for federal agencies to release findings and remedial measures before agreeing to a resolution plan with the district. Yeah, so the fact that this article is coming out, that has to mean that they were being gross with the way they were conducting themselves with these students at the school. It says, reading through the findings letter is very disturbing, Marshall said, and yet the findings correlate to what we know is happening all across the country. I am thankful the department took such action. The agency released its findings because the district has failed to fully cooperate with its investigation. So they were trying to hide stuff from the DOJ. The DOJ letter says, detailing repeated delays, missed deadlines to produce data, Doesn't this sound like the Epstein files all over again? And denied requests for investigators to visit schools while they are in operation. So you mean to tell me that the school isn't letting the police in there to see what the hell they're doing? That is so out of pocket. Because of those issues, the concerns about proper documentation, it's likely the investigation undercounted instances of restraint and seclusion. You know, they were back there cooking the books, trying to redact shit, like out of control. Among the remedies the Justice Department requested from the district, ending the use of seclusion and that supine restraint where they restrain the students with their faces up. And I don't know if I'm saying that word correctly, so forgive me if I'm not. Prohibiting restraint except in the case of imminent threat or physical harm. Properly documenting restraints and notifying parents when they are used. And providing affected students with compensatory education and counseling services to address physical and mental harm, trauma, and lost education time. Yeah, because if you're being restrained face up somewhere in a corner for 2 hours, what happens to that reading time that you missed with your classmates and your teacher? Wow. A lady was just talking to me about putting her kid in daycare. I said, look, keep your nanny for as long as you can, and definitely don't put your kid in daycare until they're able to speak. And I know a lot of us can't afford to do that. My kid never went to daycare, thank God, for my mother, my mother-in-law, and my husband for, being there to help make sure that that didn't have to happen. My son didn't go into a public school setting until the 3rd grade. So he was very close to us. But we got to keep a better eye on our kids, especially when they have these kinds of special needs, because this is scary. A bipartisan group of lawmakers from the House and Senate have repeatedly called for federal bans on seclusion and restriction on the use of restraints through a bill called the Keeping All Students Safe Act, which was recently reintroduced in December of 2025. Thank God. The bill would draw a bright line about appropriate use of the measures, Marshall said. She wrote on more districts to make changes on their own. Yeah. I mean, come on now. You're already getting money for the student because that's a body in your classroom. That's a kid in your county, in your state going to the school. So the federal government is sending money because of that number. You can't treat them different like that and then rob them of education while you're discriminating against them. That's why the Civil Rights Department is investigating this stuff. We all know from research, the first important step to the will to change, Marshall said. We know from the research, the first important step is the will to change, Marshall said. If that has to come from the DOJ, so be it. So shout out to the DOJ. I know that we're in a partial government shutdown because of what's going on with ICE, but kudos to y'all for getting something right. Protecting children with special needs is a great way to kind of redeem yourself. I wish more people would talk about this kind of stuff that the DOJ gets right instead of what they get wrong. Because when there's a partial government shutdown and the DOJ can't continue to conduct these kinds of investigations, children suffer. It's so sad. I'm going to copy this link and put it in the chat. If y'all care to go back to it or send it to a loved one who has a special needs child or a friend like I do. Shout out to Ruby. She's really sweet. I love her to death. And her daughter is so kind. The children can't help that they were born the way they were born. But let me stop sharing that. It just made my heart hurt. I can't imagine being a kid, knowing that the whole school is going to lunch, and because you knocked over coffee, or because you had an outburst, because maybe you have ADHD or something, now you're being punished and you're all alone in the room by yourself. Like, we're not talking about in-school suspension. I mean, I've been in school suspension plenty of times, but I was in there with other knucklehead clowns, that were, trying to be the class clown, or, maybe I threw my pencil at somebody, that I didn't like, Kia, but I wasn't in there all by myself. I was in there with other kids. We could crack jokes when the teacher walked out the classroom, or we could like pass notes to each other, but I was still with someone. That sounds like jail. I was totally, I love cracking jokes, especially in a class where I didn't have the best grade, like chemistry. Poor Dr. Thedford, he saw me like recently, and he was so proud of, where I'm at now in life. He was like, Raquel, you were so bad. I was always disrupting his classroom because I didn't understand anything. I hated that class. Like, why does science need formulas? I'm more like, I liked earth science. Thank God for earth science in undergrad. I did a real cool project to graduate. But yeah, I am not ever gonna be signing up to be like a chemical engineer, to be a microbiologist. Like, no, those formulas, when I see them at work, I'm like, what does this even say? Like, what? I would never be able to know about any of this stuff. Like, thank God for all of you microbiologists and all of the people that keep us safe and healthy in public health. My hat goes out to y'all. Y'all are smart. Okay. Yeah. And statistics, let me tell you, I would not have a master's degree if it wasn't for my husband. If it wasn't for the people at work that took special time out of their day to help me on my lunch break, I would not have a master's degree if it wasn't for y'all. Okay. It was like super hard. The hardest thing I've ever done in my life was get a master's degree. Okay. Like it takes a brain power that I have never had to use before. Okay. Like, I have gotten by in my life from my looks and my good character, being funny, ingratiating myself onto people, carrying the water, sitting pretty and just being, it's never been because I was smart, but going to get a master's degree, oh my God, it was so hard. Shout out to you, Bobby Vegas Gaming. He became a YouTube member. I was teasing him in his chat the other day, and I'm also a member of his channel. If you guys are gamers and you guys like, watching other people game, he's not like a violent gamer. Like, he doesn't spout a whole bunch of cuss words, but he's very entertaining. And he plays like he races, like he has this cool chair where he's laid back. It's really cool. I really like it. I think Sandra games too. Yeah, but yeah, y'all will love him. Thanks for becoming a member. I appreciate you. And I think I had some other super chats, or let me see. Yes, the Genius CEO. Thank you so much. He says, support the channel by liking the video, consider becoming a member, and like always, welcome to the garden. Yes, welcome to the garden. Thank you, CEO. I appreciate you. But yeah, much love to you back. Much love to you back. And I was only teasing you. I be having fun over there. I was watching you while I was getting my nails done one time. I couldn't say what I wanted to say to you because the lady is so mean when I take my hands out of the water or the acetone. She gets so mad at me. she tells me like, do what you need to do on your phone before I put your hands in here. I'm like, whatever, lady, I'm paying you. You don't boss me. But she does boss me. Yes, a master's takes your soul. It does. You have to be very strong. And I got on academic probation because I got a 75 the first time I took statistics. I had to take it again. That really hurt my heart, but I didn't know, and I didn't even know that. I didn't even know that you can't get a C, because in undergrad, you're like, if I get a C, I'm good. I'm good if I get a C. No, you can't get a C in a master's program. A C is an F. So I was literally, they were like, one more time, we're going to let you take this class one more time. If you mess up, you will pay. And so, yeah, I did not mess up. I took it very seriously. It does take your soul. You got to read like 3 books a month. And that's like you got to read a little bit out of 3 books a week. You got a paper in every class. Every Sunday, I had like 3 papers due. That's if I wanted to quickly accelerate through the course. So I was taking as many classes as I could as I was working, as I was a mom. The kid still wants dinner. The husband still wants what he wants. It was a lot. It was a lot to read all of that, write all of those papers, participate in class, come to class on Saturdays dressed up so your professors like you. Shout out to Arla Bernstein at Mercer University. She's like my undergrad. She's my undergrad professor that got me to go into getting my master's degree. And she still has me up on the website. I'm like one of her favorite students, but she was one of my scariest teachers. But no, if you want to get your master's degree, definitely go for it. But just be mindful that it is not like undergrad at all. It is the opposite of undergrad. Where undergrad might have been easy for you, your master's program is tough. Okay? It is hard. It is so hard. Like, yeah, there are plenty of times I cried in the car, gained a lot of weight, eating a lot of Dunkin' Donuts as I was like reading all those damn books. But anyway, okay. I'm getting over. What's up, Itchy? He says, here's to the Mona Lisa of podcasters. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I was just looking at the Mona Lisa. Do y'all think that the Mona Lisa is a man? I was going down a conspiracy rabbit hole, and people were saying that was a man boy. I don't think it was, but I don't know. But thank you, Ichiban. I appreciate you. Ichiban has been a member for 6 months. That warms my soul. Thank you so much. Yeah, don't go on Reddit. It'll send you down a rabbit hole. I have to like scan Reddit to read about my job, to read about new people that come onto my job, to see who they are when I can't find anything on them from Google or LinkedIn, because people that have money can scrub the internet of things about them, but you can't scrub Reddit. You might be able to tweak your wiki, but Reddit never fails. Reddit never fails, okay? Very interesting stuff I find on Reddit about people that I work with, but I won't drop any names here because I don't want to get in trouble. Anywho, so basically from that older gentleman talking about the book to the article that I just read from, this kind of conflict, it attracts attention, and attention fuels fundraising. And fundraising fuels campaigns, okay? And some candidates, they run on outrage, and some activists show up for viral moments, like think of BLM people. And then some, media outlets will amplify the loudest clips, right? So I'm not saying go and be like the guy in the first clip we watched, but you definitely want to, if you notice that you have a neighbor that you've never talked to whose kid gets on the same school bus as your kid, you might want to go over and start up a conversation and get to know your neighbor and say, hey, did you notice X, Y, and Z about the school? Does that concern you? You know, have you had this problem? And then you guys kind of like go from there. You talk to one neighbor, she might tell you about another neighbor might tell you about another neighbor, and then the six of y'all can go down to this lady. She has on coochie cutters and she's watching me from the street, and she has a little puppy. He's so cute. He looks like a little mini cane corso. So my dog might go crazy in just a minute. So forgive me, but I can't believe she has on coochie cutters so early. She has on soft girl coochie cutters, and it's still February, but okay, get your game on, girl. Cute puppy. Anyway, so you know, that is how you guys go down to the hearing with your superintendent, and you guys start the conversation with them, maybe more constructively than the first guy we watched. You know, you don't want to get up there calling them fat and ugly, but you do want to press them for, you know, why are these changes happening? Why are you guys voting this way? To kind of make better changes happen. I can't with y'all. Let that coochie breathe. No, no, it's my fault. I shouldn't have told y'all about her. Anyway, yeah. So you don't want to let the quiet work of really trying to make change happen get drowned out by being salacious, calling people fat like that guy did in the hearing, because really nobody heard his message, whatever his message was. We knew that he was unhappy about the book, but we didn't get to really know what the book was about because he was so busy and so focused on calling the people fat, you know. And the teachers, they need support, and they get burnt out, you know, when administrators keep leaving, and then the students end up feeling the instability at the school. You know, you keep getting a different principal, there keeps being different superintendents coming in and out of the county. Everybody comes in with their own agenda, so everything is changing every 5 minutes. And then that's when the adults start fighting and the children start absorbing it. And we don't want that. We're supposed to be like the silver lining for our children, especially when they're stressed out at school. So there were some other videos I wanted to show you, if you can bear with me one moment. Well, first let me do this. I can't show the news. That makes me sad because they'll get me for that. But there was one, I don't know, y'all remember that guy? And y'all are gonna call him a tether, but y'all remember that dude who was well, firstly, in California, there's a superintendent that just got in trouble because his behind, he ain't even American, okay? And he's about to get deported. They done hired an illegal to be over their school board. Okay, so I guess like the one thing we need to do is we need to make sure these people are citizens. And then the second thing we need to do is make sure they don't have any criminal records, because there's been a whole bunch of mayors and people getting hired that have been freaking crazy and shouldn't be over anything, let alone a school. So we have to do better about learning about the people that we're voting on. Okay. That was one thing I wanted to say. Let's see. Let me write this in. Super. Okay. Okay, so this one is crazy. Let me pull this up. Okay, wait, let me pull this out. Sorry, I lost you guys. Where did you go? Okay.
Iowa, the Des Moines school superintendent has been detained by ICE. This is a targeted enforcement operation that we're just learning about, okay, in Des Moines, Iowa. All right, so here's what happened. Again, getting back to Broadview, Illinois in just a moment. So this is interesting because it's ICE related anyway, but the school superintendent
Hey, Mr.
is from
Walker.
Guyana, and ICE came
Thank
in and
you.
detained the superintendent. The district leaders just had a news conference, and they wrapped up that news conference moments ago saying that Ian Roberts, that's his name, was on an expired student visa and was given a final order of removal May of 24. So we'll see how this goes. Iowa Public Schools website says he was born to immigrant parents from Guyana and spent most of his childhood here in New York. So he, for the most part, grew up here in New York City, is what we're told.
There you go,
From
genius.
Guyana. He also is a former Olympian, for what it's worth, competed for Guyana, I believe, in the 2000 Olympics in Sydney. He was a track and field athlete there. DHS officials say that he tried to evade arrest. That's the only other piece of information we have on that. He's in Des Moines, Iowa. Protests now breaking out outside of a federal building in Des Moines. The school superintendent, a guy by the name of Ian Roberts, who comes from an immigrant family from Guyana, happened to have been a former Olympic athlete, track and field in the 2000 Sydney Games, was detained today by ICE, okay? We're still efforting some of the details on this. Expired student visa was mentioned. Again, details to come on the detainment. Protesters, however, upon hearing about that, we reported it earlier in this show, have now taken to the streets of Des Moines. Again, he serves as the school superintendent for Des Moines Public Schools. Ian Roberts. Protesters are out there. See some of the signs that they're.
So some people, like, they loved him and they want him to stay, but it's like, what are you talking about? He's here illegally. They're mad at ICE because he got a job that he wasn't supposed to have. I think he even lied about his credentials. He did win the Olympics. It wasn't for the United States. It was for Guyana, but you know, I guess the students loved him, but you need to be above board in these kinds of positions. You can't be, you know, here illegally on an expired visa and think that we're just going to let you do what you want to do. No, because what American do you know that can go to Guyana, become an official in some capacity in their government and not get in trouble when you don't have your paperwork in order? Like, at some point, if you know, how dare you guys say uphold the Constitution? Well, the Constitution says you can't be here illegally. It's so strange. Thank you for the donation tonight. Your super sticker, Mr. Walker. I appreciate you. And Mr. Walker has been a member for 6 months since I got monetized. Thank you, Mr. Walker. He says, salute Mrs. Rose and the rosebuds and thorns. Yes, salute to you back, Mr. Walker. I miss you, friend. And what's up, red lipstick vibes? It's good to see you. It's good to see you. Happy Saturday. We're talking about school boards and why they are a battlefield, because I didn't want to talk about politics today, so to speak, because we're going to war and that's kind of like a sticky thing right now. So I decided to talk about schools. So on Petals and on Power and Petals Saturday, I try to use this time to be more constructive, to talk about things that are a little bit boring, but we should all kind of know about them because we have kids or grandkids or nieces or nephews that we need to be able to teach, you know, why it's important to vote, why it's important to go to school, or why it's important to like be watchful of your school's school board. And these parents are clearly protesting on the wrong side here. They should have been actively finding out if this man was even able to become their school superintendent, which he wasn't.
Holding up and what have you. It's a larger conversation now after what happened, of course, in Dallas. Congresswoman Julie Johnson,
really?
a Democrat from Texas, member of House Homeland Security. Welcome back to the show, Congresswoman. I was just talking about,
just reading an article. This is the article I was reading, Red Lipstick. It's about special needs children and how they were ostracized from schools, and they were investigated by the Department of Justice for basically they didn't want to participate in the investigation, and they were kind of trying to impede it. So at the end of the article, it talks about how they were likely cooking the books and underreporting the incidents that happened. But even if they were underreporting those incidents, Red Lipstick, they were horrible numbers. I mean, really crazy things that they were doing, like restraining children with their faces up, but completely restrained. The children couldn't move, ostracizing the children for hours at a time, to the point where one kid like tied a shoelace around her neck. And another time a kid was like biting his wrists, saying that he wanted to harm himself. And they actually left these children alone. It's just like, it breaks my heart. I believe you. I have one friend that has a daughter with special needs. So this is why I brought up that article today, because even though special needs kids, it's not rampant, it is something that we should be concerned about, because if you can be harmful to a kid that has special needs and can't defend themselves, then you're just an awful person. You don't deserve to be a part of a school system. It's really sad. It just makes my voice crack. I get tears come up, because it's just like, how could you?
Kind of before the break and we've heard a lot of people say this, rhetoric needs to come down. Obviously, tension is going to be high on one end of the political spectrum when a story like this comes out. People are taking, in this case, to the streets in what appears to be a peaceful manner. On the other side, we heard from some of the law enforcement officials in your state the other day saying that the rhetoric against law enforcement officials, ICE agents and the like should be lowered. What's your take?
I think just, political rhetoric in this country is out of control, and it starts at the very top with the president. He consistently uses very violent language when talking about Democrats and progressive causes. And just didn't even go back to January 6th and the pardoning of all those people who he called heroes with the violence that they started. It's just been escalating and escalating and escalating, and it's just inappropriate. And what we really need is for everyone on both sides of the aisle with any position of any kind of leadership or voice in this country to tone this down. This is not who we are as Americans. We don't settle our disputes this way, and it's just completely unacceptable.
Sometimes I feel like we're making progress on this. And after the Charlie Kirk shooting, for example, we had what I would describe as so many constructive conversations where you almost feel good about yourself afterwards. Or maybe we're going in the right direction, And then something else happens, right? And if I interview a Democrat like you, often I hear comments like that, as you just articulated, and I get your points on, how the president speaks. If you interview a Republican right away, they say, well, they're calling us all Nazis and that kind of thing, and that can lead to violence, So you wonder, like, how do we get to the quote unquote better place from there?
Right. Well, I think it starts with, coming back to where you actually have respect for our democracy and respect for people on the other side and handling yourself appropriately. This president, has a
Oh my God.
he pursues his political enemies.
I just
pursues anyone that doesn't agree.
we have to stop bringing the president up. Why don't we just talk about what is going on? The guy was here illegally. It has ICE is supposed to get rid of the people that are here illegally, whether they're criminals or not. I just don't understand. The topic of discussion is the fact that ICE caught up with a person that was here illegally, and that person just so happened to be a school superintendent. Bringing up the president every 5 minutes, it's like they really do have Trump derangement. They really just can't say, you know what? Yeah, we don't like the president. Okay, but he did something bad. Why don't we work for people that are involved with this kinds of thing that are, here illegally? What do we need to do to get them here legally? Why wasn't his paperwork up to date? What did he need to do? He needed to go back to his country, tell his country X, Y, and Z. I got a good job in the United States. I'm a superintendent. He couldn't have taken some weeks off to go and get his paperwork together. I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm an American, and so paperwork don't seem that hard to me. It don't seem like if someone says, Raquel, in order to have a passport, this is the paperwork you have to fill out. I'm going to go and fill out the passport. My passport doesn't expire until 2030, I think, but my son's passport expires next month. I'm going to have to go and fill out the paperwork to get his passport renewed. I'm not going to try to take him out of this country and then make a big stink about it that I can't bring him back in because he don't have a passport. Like, I need to make sure his paperwork is in order. As an adult, you just have to make sure you have your ducks in a row. Why are we forgetting that part of it? What does Trump have to do with that part of it? Just because ICE found him for doing something illegal, are we just going to skip over the fact that he was doing something illegal? And it is illegal. If your paperwork ran out, you're here illegally. I'm sick of them. I'm gonna stop sharing this. I'm sick of them. Like, they really do have Trump freaking derangement. I'm sick of them. Like, let's just stick to the topic. The topic is the superintendent had a job, his visa ran out, and he didn't go get his visa fixed. So now I'm going to show y'all this brief video. This one's kind of funny too. This lady is here in Georgia. And instead of being like the guy in the first video clip that I showed y'all this evening, she is going to use extreme tact and decorum, but she's going to be reading from a book that the school board said could be in the kids' library. So this is another thing. The school board is voting on books that they haven't even read, and they're saying that they're okay for our kids to read, yet the school board is going to stop this woman from reading the explicit words that are coming out of a book that they approve to be in the school's library. Imagine that. Imagine that. Okay, so let me show y'all this. So she is about to be told to stop reading. I mean, when I saw this, I was just like, the audacity of these people. Okay, here we go.
No, thank you. Good evening. My name is Natalie Sonic. I have two daughters that have been attending Maple Grove High School. I'm here tonight expressing concerns with the sexually graphic books found in our school. What Girls Are Made Of by Alina Arnold is currently in our school libraries. The book starts with Nina's mother telling her there is no such thing as unconditional love. Love is conditional upon sex and beauty. Nina, at age 14, takes this lesson to heart. Nina states, Seth and I met in 5th grade, but he didn't love me until last summer. Even now, I'm aware that his love for me is conditional. Condition number 1, sex. It's okay with me. I love it. It didn't hurt much the first time and has gotten better since. Page 19. I laid a towel on the sheet in case I bled.
Natalie,
and then I watched Seth roll.
I'm going to interrupt you for a minute. I'm
Yes.
sorry. Last month, we had some kids in the audience, and some of the language was offensive to some.
Okay, that's exactly it. So I think we should continue, Jackie, because that's exactly my point. 100%. Page 19.
So a school board member interrupts her to say, there were kids in the audience the last time, you know, and so there might be kids in here today, and this is explicit language. And she's like, duh, Jackie, exactly. You know, but this is what you voted for. It's like the audacity, right? Like, did you forget that this is she just said she has 2 high school students that are daughters at a school.
I laid a towel on the sheet in case I bled.
Hold on. As I requested, I would like decorum in the audience as well. Okay, I just want to, so far, it's been okay, but I just want to warn you about who may be in the audience. That was all I was going to say.
Okay, so I could continue?
Yes.
Page 19, I laid a towel on the sheet in case I bled. And then I watched Seth roll the condom over his penis. I watched his hands push into the flesh of my thighs, spreading them apart. And I watched him maneuver his latex wrapped erection as he pushed and tried to get inside. The book continues. For their 3rd month anniversary, Seth gets Nina a vibrator because no matter how much he licks her, he can't get her to come. Page 57, I pull him out of his underwear. He's soft in my hand. I don't look up at his face before I open my mouth, and I pull him into it. And I pull and I suck until he grows hard. And I keep going and going. When he says, I'm going to come, I don't pull away. The jet of him is warm and salty and tastes like thickened sweat. Page 58. She was talking about worshiping Jesus, but come on, she was talking about sex, right? Sex with Jesus. That's what she wanted, to give Jesus head. And I totally understand it. You want to consume the person you love. You want to eat him so he's inside of you. So he's a part of you so he can't leave. Chewing the flesh and drinking the blood of Jesus every Sunday in church, swallowing Seth's cum. Is it different? Is it?
Point of order. I just don't think this is appropriate for a school board meeting. We
Well,
do have an
that's
adult
exactly-
process to review a
No,
book.
And I
and I
get it. And
believe
this
that
is
your
where I'm
language
going.
is
I'm going to
inappropriate.
exactly that policy. Page 107, Nina is pregnant and at Planned Parenthood talking to the female staff member, Angie, who had an abortion. Nina asked her, are you sorry? Angie shakes her head and said, I don't believe in God, she said, but if I did, I thank him every day for both of my abortions. Page 126, Nina, after having an abortion, states, the abortion was the kindest, best thing that I've done for myself as long as I can remember. I've gotten interrupted, so I'm just going to finish. This book encourages teens to become sexually active, stating it's a requirement for dating. It normalizes sex, masturbation, and abortions. Our district does not have a policy in place protecting children from printed pornography, which is exactly what this book is. There needs to be policy for printed materials that restricts these books from getting into our schools. Our current district policy 441 is our internet policy, which
Natalie,
is in place to protect
Natalie,
minors from online
you
harmful.
have gone over time and she paused for the
Well,
interruptions.
I've had a number and I'm just
She paused for the interruptions. You're over time. Thank you.
Man, I gotta give her some applause, man. I gotta give her some applause. Oh my God. Natalie, you are our hero, girl. Like, what in the world was that? How can you? Natalie, again, some applause for you, girl. Here you go. Like, how in the hell? How in the hell are y'all mad at Natalie for reading a book that you approved to be in your school's library? And then you're going to say that it's inappropriate for the children to hear that? You don't care about the children because you approved the book. Not only was the book sexually explicit, it talked about 2 ABs. I mean, I know I made the joke on my Instagram page yesterday and y'all were just eating it up because I was on Trey's live the other night and they were talking about women being eaters, right? So I wanted to end the show with this because the young girl was talking about being an eater in the book, and that's just weird. That's weird vibes. I don't want my kid reading that at school. Not that he's not going to read it. Like, he's going to read it. Like, he's upstairs playing probably a violent video game. I'm pretty sure that the people that are in the gaming room with him are being just as explicit, saying crazy things to each other, right? But I give him 2 hours to play the game at home, then he got to come off. You know, when he's at school, he shouldn't be at school thinking about head and sex and all of that. Like, he needs to be at school worrying about his German grade. He needs to be at school worrying about his chemistry, his algebra. He needs to be worried about that. He shouldn't be trying to get down to the library to read porn or corn. So I just had to show y'all the audacity of the school board to actually sit up there and try to like slap the wrist of that lady's hand from reading a book they approved to be at the damn school. And, you know, I could go on and on and on about this all day with showing y'all even worse books in middle school, in elementary school. Like, the least you could do on the school board, if you're going to be approving books, is get the Cliff's Notes of the books you're approving if you're not going to read them yourself. You know? I mean, there are plenty of books that I haven't read, but I have the Cliff's Notes for. You know what I'm saying? And at least, you know, I can know, oh, this is talking about sex in a very explicit way, because they're going to have some of those passages pulled out from the book and the Cliff's Notes. So you could say, yeah, this book we're not going to put on our approved book list. I mean, it's a gross negligence to get up there and say that this lady is being inappropriate to the crowd around you, that is a whole bunch of students and parents of the schools you're the superintendent or the school board for. Shame on y'all. And that was here in Georgia, you know? So gross. Gross. My kid is 15, the International Quiet Storm, and he just asked me if he could go to a slumber party that was co-ed. And I had to tell him, like, Black folks don't do that. Like, you need more Black friends, because Black folks don't do that. We don't send our kids off to co-ed slumber parties. And I did send him to a German convention back in January, where he spent a couple of nights out of the house, but at least it was set up so where the boys were in one dorm and the girls were in another dorm. Here in America, we don't have good sex education for anything to be co-ed. It's not like Germany where everything is co-ed, you know, but you not dare get pregnant. You not dare, you know, do this under your parents' watch while you're in school. You know what I mean? Like, it is not the same from when, no, okay? But no, I am going through it. And I take him on plenty of dates too. I do take him on dates, and I sit in the car and I wait for him to have his date, you know, and sometimes they walk out of distance of where I could see them. And I know they're kissing and probably filling each other up, but you know, I want him to have a healthy love life for a 15-year-old, but I'm not sending him to a co-ed slumber party. That's just out of control. I told him he needs some more Black friends, because we just, like, we don't do that. We don't do that. No. The International Quiet Storm. What do you suggest I do? What do you suggest I do? Let him go to that co-ed slumber party? I already take him to girls' houses to play Dungeons and Dragons, and I pray that that's what they're doing while they're there. You know, the parents are there. You know, but what do you expect that I do? Like, no. I'm pretty I do. I pray a lot. And I show him a lot of research studies about Mpox and venereal diseases, so that he knows that, you know, wrapping it up is important. Whatever. What's up, Fantasy Island girl? How are you? Yeah. Yeah, I know. I ain't crazy. Yeah. I drop him off and I let his dad pick him up, you know, so his dad can, you know, give that look, you know, to see what's going on, and they can have a talk alone with each other on the way home, you know. So, like, yeah. So I you know, I meet the parents, I drop them off, I bring the sodas, I bring the chips. So I support him. I remember what it's like to be 15. I used to have boys, you know, around me. You know, I didn't lose my V card until I was 17. and that was, I told my mom too, like 2 hours after it happened, because I thought I was going to die. I thought that I didn't listen to God, and I fornicated, and now I have to go to church like right now. That's what I told my mom. Like, I have to go right now. I have to go right now. She was like, no, you don't. You have to tell me, are you going to do this again? And if you are, I need to put you on birth control. And I was like, no, I will never do it again. I will never do it again. Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. Highway 20 Skinny. Our sex education is trash. It is trash. It's trash. I mean, the school board can't even determine how they're going to teach about that. That's sad. So they're going to decide what books they can read, and they're not even going to see if the books are corn. That's wild to me. What else are y'all saying? Fantasy Island girl, what? She says, JW, most of them think about sex from the moment they wake up to the moment they close their eyes because of raging hormones. Yeah. Reading a fictional book about sex is not inappropriate as a high schooler. I agree with that. And it depends on the way that the sex is being talked about. Like that book that the lady was reading from that was talking about the young lady having 2 ABs and the whole eater part. I mean, that was a bit explicit. I was thinking to myself, what book is that? I need to go get it. That's a bit explicit if you have a 9th grader. My son is in the 10th grade, so but yeah. But definitely, Fantasy Island girl, there are lots of books out there like that in middle schools and elementary schools. You would be surprised. I didn't even pick the clips that talk about LGBTQ. We might be able to get into that on another Saturday, but that is really going to piss you guys off. The kind of, trans books, LGBT books in elementary schools, you guys are going to be like, what the hell? Yeah. German is a fake language. Okay. Well, I guess so. Mike Hunt 6161. I grew up in Germany, and I definitely had to speak German to get around. But okay. I was born in this place called Bad Nauheim, Germany. It's known for its spa-like qualities there. But okay. All right. That's your opinion. It's a fake language. What's up, Derek? What's up? It's good to see you. Yeah, I guess you're talking about that book, right? Yeah, that book was wild. It was very wild. Thank you, International Quiet Storm. He said, shout out to Raquel. Hit the like button. I hope y'all have hit the like button. I didn't want to keep y'all too long tonight. I only wanted to stay on for an hour and a half. I still have to cook dinner. I was at the hair salon all morning and half of the afternoon. And then my husband made me go to the storage unit, and I had to get stuff out of storage because he says that I'm wasting all this money by having all of these things, and I need to start going through them and throwing them away. So I was a good wife, and I went and picked up things from the unit, some things to throw away, some things to, ease into the house. Lots of dishes. I have a lot of dishes. I didn't realize I kept so many dishes from my old restaurant. But I have to go through that. Thank you. You know how it is when you get your hair done. Like, you want it done, but you don't want to sit under the dryer for as long as you need to. And I got a deep condition, so I had to sit under that dryer for a minute today. He says, sell them on offer. Yeah, I will. There's lots of stuff that I could get money for that I didn't want to throw away. And there were a few people getting put out of their storage units, and people were just like going through their stuff. I was like, that is so mean. Like, what a way to kick a person when they're down. You know, you miss your storage unit payment for 3 months and people just go and rummage through all of your things. That was kind of hard to watch today, but I was glad it wasn't me. Okay. I want my little dishes and stuffed animals. I don't know what do y'all do with stuffed animals? Like, do y'all still have stuffed animals from when you were a kid? My dad used to bring me home stuffed animals when he would go off to the field and come back when he was in the army. And I still have them. I don't want to throw them away. Anyway, yeah, I have to do that tonight. Yes, Evil Edie. Thank you. Smash the like button and subscribe, and I will give you a double thumbs up if we see each other at the water park for only very attractive people. Oh my God. Don't get me started about the water park. Okay. I went to the water park over the summer. I didn't get into the water. I was having a bad day that day. So my husband and my kid, they went on all the rides, and I just sat down under the umbrella in a little chair, and I was just looking at the people walking by. I mean, the things that some moms had on, thong bikinis at Whitewaters over Georgia. Come on, is that what we're doing now? Oh my God. And the booties were on swole. Okay. Those booties were some big old booties. The Salvation Army. Yeah, you can call, and they do pickups too, I think, International Quiet Storm. So that's what I'm going to do when I get off of I was going to say when I get off of this call with y'all, but when I jump offline from being on here with y'all, I'm going to wrap up my hair, put on a more dingier pair of soft pants, because I got my good soft pants on today. And I'm going to sort through the things I want to keep and wash and put away, and the things I want to donate. I don't judge. But I mean, when your whole booty is out around 15-year-old boys at the water park, I mean, I know I'm fine with my husband looking, because I don't have a big butt. Like, I got like a little bloop, but I don't have like a, you know what I'm saying? So I get it. He's going to look. But my kid, like, it's like, can you control yourself down there when you're 15? I just think, like, poor boys, like, they have to walk around like holding themselves down all day. Like, so my judgment is really for their protection. Like, I'm only trying to protect them from getting embarrassed from the little girls that they're there probably trying to get their phone numbers. He said, hell no. The kid is locked and loaded. I can't with you, the International Quiet Storm. Oh my God. He's probably looking. Yeah. Like, he got in the car. He was like, thank you, Mom. Thank you. I had so much fun at the park today. I'm like, I bet you did. I bet you did have fun at the park today. All those naked bodies. Jeez Louise. Like, where is the modesty? Like, I don't wear bikinis when we go on family vacations, because my son says it makes him feel uncomfortable, that he looks at it like bra and panties. So I wear the one piece. And lately I've been doing like the one piece with the little, like, you know, the matching like skirt, you know, it's like a skirt and shorts, you know, so it's like I'm fully covered, because if we go to a water park, you know, I don't know how I'm going to fall out of the slide or the inner tube. You know, I might come out of the slide ass first. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to embarrass my son because his mom had her whole butt cheeks to the world. You know, like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to embarrass him. But those moms were not worried about embarrassing anyone, and they had children older than mine. I'm like, you wear bikinis, but I wear a cover up. Yeah. Like, when it's just me and my husband and we in Miami or wherever, like, I do my thing, you know, like, I do my thing. I don't always, you know, Yeah, you got to come to my Instagram. I'm not always so square and stuffy, so I'm not judging anyone. I promise you. Like I love to see a beautiful woman, whether she's dressed in a business suit or a bikini. Like I am totally like, you go girl, you're fine. Like, ooh, baby, look at that. She is bad. Like I will definitely point out a beautiful woman for my hubby so he doesn't miss out. So I don't judge y'all, but it is kind of weird that you would come like that to a kid's water park. So maybe I am judging. But yeah, I try not to embarrass my kid because I'm very light, and some water parks, like I fall out of the inner tube and then I'm coming down out of the slide all kinds of different ways. Like it has happened before where my son was just like, that is not my mom. That is not my mom. It's like the worst thing you can do as a mother is embarrass your kid. Okay. But yeah, I hope y'all have fun with me tonight, this evening, talking about why school boards, are battlefields. I hope that this has, me too. Yeah. Hey, Stephen James, what's up to you, my friend? Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Ladies be perverts and PDF exhibitionists. You know what? I should do that for Wilted Wednesdays. We're going to talk about that on Wilted Wednesdays, how ladies can be perverts and PDF exhibitionists. PDF exhibitionists. That's a great title for a video. Thank you, Vic. Thank you, Vicky. That's awesome. Yes, I like that. I will definitely do a video on that. And maybe I have some raw footage from that day I was at the water park last summer. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I took some pictures. Like, did you see this lady with the fishnets on and a thong bikini? Like the audacity. Anyway, but okay, so school boards, they actually matter more than, most of the stuff we hear about these federal headlines, okay? Because things that happen nationally are much further away from us than the things that happen locally. And we need to decide like the way our public funds are spent. Even though I know not all of y'all live here in Georgia or Gwinnett County with me, you guys live all across the nation. It should matter to you how the funds at your sons, daughters, grandchildren's schools are spent because they influence health guidance. They set a tone for the whole education and the books, right? And like we talked about, those special needs kids, we need to care about their equity, the academic standards that they have versus the normal more children in the school. We need to care about public health in schools and the transparency that goes along with that public health. Like that school that the lady was just talking about at the school board was talking about, abortions. That's pretty deep. Like we need to know, like, is that running rampant throughout high schools that young ladies in that book that she was reading from, the young lady had 2 ABs. So we need to know that stuff. They need to be transparent about it. And in order for the school boards and school systems to feel like they have to have that level of transparency, we as parents, as grandparents, as uncles and aunties, we need to be involved. We need to have more and better engagement. Okay. So it's not just about when there's drama. We need to be proactive instead of reactive. We need to be saying, what books are y'all looking at before y'all put them in the school? We want to have a meeting on that. And then we need to tell them, hey, y'all thinking about that? We saw this crazy book on the list. Y'all need to pull that out of there. And here is why. And we need to be consistent with that. Okay. So, yeah. I don't want us to just be reactive. We need to be able to engage wisely, ask better questions, and show up prepared. because that's why I do these segments on Saturday, is so that we can just educate ourselves a little bit more, so that we're more prepared to have these conversations when they come up in our lives, because this is not everyday stuff. We don't vote all the time. We don't always have a kid in high school or a kid in elementary school. Some of you might be just having or starting a family. So right now your kid is with a nanny or your kid is at daycare. So this doesn't really matter to you yet, but eventually these kinds of things will matter to you. So you should show up prepared, right? And this is not just about shaping your kid's life. It's about shaping the entire generation. And so this is like long-term work. This isn't stuff that's just happening on a short spectrum that we don't care about. This is like over and over and over again. If you have a house that you're paying for, your taxes are going into the school system. Even if you don't have a kid there or your kid is graduated, even if your kid is in college in another state, it should still matter to you, that the kids are getting a fair shake, because these kids are going to one day become your neighbors. And who wants raggedy ass neighbors, that don't understand things and are not well equipped to handle certain situations, right? If they're reading poor books or they're getting a bad deal from their superintendent, and then they become your neighbor and you're wondering, why the hell are these people so crazy? It's because you didn't participate in their rearing. Even if you're not a parent, you can still affect a kid in a positive way, right? If you see them being led down a wrong road, that should matter to you. Okay. So I hope that you all enjoyed this episode of Smell the Roses. I love y'all very much. I want y'all to take a breath, stay grounded, and I will see you all on Monday for the Rose Report. Okay. And I already got that video queued up and ready to go. We're going to be talking about the Alpine divorce. I don't know if you guys have heard about that, but we're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk about some other salacious things. And then on Wednesday, we're going to talk about mistresses, because I'm going to start turning Wednesday, and instead of it being a topic where we talk, instead of it being a hodgepodge of topics, I'm going to keep it I'm going to pick one topic and we're going to dig into that one topic. And if you guys want, I will drop the link so that you guys can chime in on that one topic and we can have a discussion about it. So on Wednesday, we're going to be talking about mistresses. Have you been a mistress? Has a mistress affected your life? I want to hear from y'all. And even like men, I'm going to be talking about it from a wife's perspective, but, I would like to hear from men. Has a man tried to steal your wife from you? And how did that go? Okay. So that will be on Wednesday. And I really can't wait for that one, because I feel like when I open the panel to have that discussion, it's going to be some smoke in the city. Okay. And we're going to keep this, relative to our personal lives. We're not going to talk about people on YouTube where we can or cannot confirm if they are mistresses or side chicks. Okay. We're going to keep this personal to ourselves, to what we know in our own lives. Okay. And I can speak to it. Okay. Fantasy Island Girl says, I play with my husband, but we don't play alone. So I'm anti-mistress. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. See, I want to have these kinds of discussions. Like, what works for you? What doesn't work for you? Yeah. And so in that case, it wouldn't be a mistress, right? I'm talking about when you don't know, or, when it's like, it's like weird, I want to like being stalked by somebody that wants your husband, because girls do that too. Women do that too. And men do that too. They kind of like size you up, stalk you, size you up, and then try to come after your wife for where they think you're weak. So I want to talk about that. Okay. But I love y'all very much. Thanks for rocking out with me. Thanks for all of the likes and the subscribes. And thank you for all of the donations and, all of the membership. So thank you to Mr. Walker for his donation. He's been a member. Ichiban, shout out to you. Bobby Vegas Gaming for becoming a member. And to you, the Genius CEO, thank you, brother, for, keeping me on the straight and narrow this week. It's been a wild, tumultuous week for us, but yeah, we got through it. And I got here today on time. So I'm very, very proud of myself, and I'm proud of y'all too. All right. I'm glad y'all had fun. Thank you, Mo. Thank you. I know I said 3:00, but I pushed it back to 5:00 because I got my hair done. Okay. When I can get into the salon at 9, then I know I can be on by 3:00 on Saturdays. But when I get there at 11, Lord help us all. Okay. But I love y'all so much. Y'all have a great rest of the night. Okay. I'll see y'all in the cart before the horses chat later, maybe. Okay. All right. Good night, y'all. Bye-bye.